Even just a couple of months ago, we were not worried about appraisal. Homes were getting offers with appraisals being waived, and the comps were supporting this because the homes were coming in at such high prices. However, things are changing, and the appraisals now are killing deals and going along with the housing price drop. But in this video, I'm going to explain why, and I'm going to tell you some ways that you can prevent this. So we know rising gas prices, rising food prices, inflation, all of this is affecting the housing market. So think about it. If people have less money to spend every month because they're spending so much money on these things, they have less money to be able to pay to afford to upgrade their home. So that means they're either going to be stuck paying rent because they can't save up enough for a good down payment, or they're just going to stay in the house they're in because they just do not want to pay an extra few $100s a month to get a better home when they're already paying so much for these other things. And we know most Americans do live paycheck to paycheck. So it's really hard for them now that they're having to spend extra money every month when they already were barely getting by. I have personally seen a couple of my clients who are no longer wanting to buy a house because they're just worried with where all these prices are going. Keep in mind, these were the same clients that just a couple of months ago were getting in all these bidding wars, going above asking, waiving different kinds of contingencies and stuff to get in that house, and now they have completely backed it up and changed where they're going with this. I've also seen this market shift personally with my own home. So we have a home that we are selling. It is in a state that I'm not licensed in, so I'm using another real estate agent to help us sell it, and it has been a total difference. So apparently everybody else in this area got this feeling that the market was shifting about a month ago, and they all flooded the market with their homes as well. So our home went live when all these other homes did, and as a result, we had hardly any showings. We had a few here and there, and since then it still has stayed really slow, maybe get a showing every few days. So as a result of that, we don't have hardly any good offers. So it's just a cause and effect of this housing market. And if you look at where our house is actually the cheapest house in our neighborhood for the square footage and the size that it is. So if anything, it should have, especially a couple of months ago, it would have gotten multiple offers, tons of showings, we would have been in a totally different ball game than we're in right now. So we know that the market is constantly going up and down, but with these interest rates rising, that is pushing the market to go down. What people could comfortably afford last month, now they're unable to afford because of how much the interest rates have gone up, because these interest rates are increasing people's monthly payments so much they can no longer afford it. Back a few months ago, you know, we were seeing houses that were getting multiple offers, and a lot of these offers were waiving the appraisals or offering an appraisal gap, and now we're lucky just to get a straight up offer. I know there are some markets that you are still seeing some of these appraisal waivers and stuff in there, but as a whole it has really slowed down. So let's talk about what an appraisal gap is. So an appraisal gap is the buyer coming in and saying, hey, I'm offering to pay you X amount over the appraisal price. So let's say that your home, you get it under contract for $250,000 and they give you a $5,000 appraisal gap. So if your home appraises for $245,000, then you're safe because that $5,000 appraisal gap is going to come in and it's going to still net you the $250,000. Now, if it comes in less than that, let's say the home comes in at $230,000, you're going to walk away with $235,000. So yes, you're still losing some money off of that sales price, but that appraisal gap did get you an extra $5,000. So these are a great thing. It protects you as the seller. It just ensures that, you know, you're going to be protected and get that money, but we are seeing less and less of buyers that are willing to do these now. And having one of these is really important because we are seeing the appraisers get more and more picky. I have personally seen several appraisers that think it's their job to correct this market shift, and they're going to do what they can by trying to drive the appraisals lower, which is ridiculous. But we are seeing that, and I've even seen some appraisers that refuse to use comps that were just 3 months ago. And the reason they're citing is because the market has gone down in the past 3 months, so those comparables aren't relevant anymore. I'm sorry, what? Am I hearing you correctly? That is insane. Like, from my point of view, we've always been taught, you know, 6 months is where you want to be. Anything less than that is great. And they're refusing to use one from 3 months ago because they're saying the market has shifted that much. Another thing that we're going to have to keep an eye out for are these longer closing dates. So if you've got closings that are set out 45 days or even more, a lot can change in 45 days. And it really can make or break a deal. So look at the interest rates. Just this past week, interest rates took a major hike in just a couple of days. Like, it went up one day and then went up the very next day as well. And this hurt a lot of people. We had some people that got under contract on a house, but they were unable to get their rate locked in those couple of days. So in the process of getting their rate locked, their mortgage rate shot up by that much. Thankfully, they were still able to afford it, but could you imagine being them and just because of a couple of days, now you're stuck paying all this extra money? So it can be a really big deal. So you want to make sure that you're keeping an eye out for that. I actually had this happen to me personally. So we're in the process of buying our personal home, and I got it under contract, a month ago. However, we had a delay. So our closing was delayed by 3 days. And wouldn't you know it, because of that 3 day, I lost my rate. The rate was no longer going to be locked in, so I had to pay to extend that rate. And the amount that they wanted to charge me is insane. I ended up paying $1,200 to get my rate locked, but the only reason I got it for that deal is because my mortgage lender felt bad for me and agreed to help me out with some of it. All over 3 days, paying that much more money just to get things shifted and get my rate locked in. And not only will the rates change, but the comparables will change as well. So if you've got a quick closing, they're going to look at all the recent closings that happened. But if you're going out 45 days, they're going to pull all those other ones as well. And so back when the market was doing so well, we wanted that. We wanted the closings to kind of drag out because we saw a couple of houses that were under contract that we knew would really help our comparables because they were going to sell higher. But now with the market going down, it's the opposite. We don't want to wait on those because the more homes that come in and sell lower, that's going to hurt us on what our appraisal price will be. So just keep that in mind with your closing date. I'm also seeing several homes all over the market that are having price reductions. And there's this team that lists homes in our area, and they've always priced their homes extremely competitively. Just this past week, they dropped the price on 4 of their lists because the market's changing. They can no longer get those higher prices, and they've had to come down to be competitive. So that's a big one. So not only are they not getting like a standard full price offer, but they're certainly not getting any of these multiple offers with the appraisal waivers or the appraisal gap. I have even seen just this past week some buyers asking for closing costs. The audacity of them, right? They know the market's shifting, and they know they've got a little bit more leeway, and they can ask for it because they're not getting these multiple offers anymore. Most of America's largest mortgage companies are also instituting at least one round of layoffs.
You're fired! You're fired!
Some of these include Mr. Cooper, Loan Depot, Fairway Independent Mortgage, and the largest banks to include Wells Fargo and JP Morgan and Company. JP Morgan actually laid off 1,000 employees. It was stating it was in reaction to the cyclical changes that are happening in this mortgage market. Now, this does come right after the Feds announced their plans to increase by 75 basis points as a reaction to get this inflation under control. But this is the biggest hike that we've seen since 1994. And experts are predicting that this year we will have half the volume that we had in 2021 or 2020. So there's a big shift coming. And according to the National Association of Realtors, we have seen home sales drop for the 4th month in a row. So for 4 months straight, home sales on previously owned homes have been dropping. And it's now to the level it's been the lowest at in 2 years. And we're also seeing other companies like Redfin and Compass Incorporated that are also having to lay off employees be able to stay competitive. Now, we are expecting to see foreclosures start to show up by the 4th quarter of 2022. So I think that it will pad this market a little bit, but this is not going to be the same foreclosure that we saw in 2006. Back then, the market was flooded with foreclosures. Lenders were giving out way too much money for people that were not qualified. They had these things going on called balloon payments where they would get people in with their mortgage at a really low payment for a few years, and then the balloon payment would come due and people wouldn't be able to afford it and they would foreclose. But the great thing they loved about this balloon payment was it was beautiful at first. They loved it. It's kind of like that pretty girl. You see her and you love it, and then you wake up and now she's wiped all of her makeup off and slept through the night, and now it's just plain scary. That's kind of the way it was with the balloon payment. Well, that's not happening anymore, so we don't have any of those things. Right now we have, even though the market is shifting, people still have a lot of equity in their homes. So instead of foreclosing on it, they're going to sell it and get money out of it or do some things like that. Like I recently just went and looked at one where they were about to be in foreclosure, but they had so much equity in it they could sell it easily and make a little bit of money and walk away. It wasn't a ton, but why would you not take $10,000 and walk away instead of going through a foreclosure? So all of these points point to a greater emphasis on why it's so important for the appraisal to come in right, and what can you do to help that. The first thing that you can do is make sure you have your home priced competitively. If it's priced competitively, you're going to get more showings, which will in turn lead to more offers, and that's going to really help you to get ahead of this. The second thing you can do is do everything in your power to make sure that appraisal comes in as high as it can. I actually just did a video on this going over things that you can do that will help bring the appraisal up and get you more money for your house. If you want to, check that out right now. As always, I'm your Unicorn Real Estate Agent helping you turn your home dreams into reality.